Hello and welcome to Inside Athletics, a show all about high school sports in Robeson and surrounding counties, produced here at WNCP-TV. I'm your host, Jonathan Mim from the Robesonian, and joining me once again are Donnell Coley, also from the Robesonian, and Brandon Tester from the Laurinburg Exchange. Guys, welcome back.
Good to be here.
Yep, so with one game left in the regular season this Friday, time is ticking for local teams looking to make the postseason. While we wait for the rivals to clash at the end of the regular season, let's take a look back at the action from last night. So, Brandon, you were in Lumberton where you saw the Scotland boys team complete the season sweep of Robeson County with a 3-point road win. In the girls' game, Lumberton shook off a slow start to claim its victory. So, Lumberton struggles. What is it about them in Scotland that really gives them problems?
Well, yeah, I was thinking last night was probably one of the ugliest all-around games I've really seen this year. I mean, both teams just made silly mistakes that you don't really expect out of them. There's things like, even like in the second half, Lumberton got hit with a technical after a made three-pointers, stuff like that. It's avoidable, and that kind of hurt them down the stretch. And then, late in the fourth quarter, Brayling or Quashik Breeden gets hit, while he's going up for a dunk, and it's called an intentional foul, which means free throws for him, and that's just stuff like that hurt both teams. So it wasn't really something where Scotland was shutting him down in any way. It was just kind of who can make the least amount of mistakes at the end.
Yeah, Donnell, Brandon had the Freudian slip right then. He said Braylon Grice did not play last night. Without him in the lineup, how different is Lumberton?
Yeah, Lumberton, it's kind of like Purnell, and when they don't have Xavier Jones, when those two guys are on the floor, it brings that toughness that you need in the post, and for their overall team, they need that toughness, that grit, and so when he's not there, they miss him as far as rebounding and overall impact for morale purposes. So.
Yeah, Brandon, do you feel like that's where Lumberton lacked last night, was in the post and rebounding?
Yeah, and they were still able to make it life tough for Scotland's big guys, and Scotland had to rely a lot on their guards, which kind of worked out for them. CJ Settles had, I think, 4 three-pointers, and a couple other guys kind of chipped in as well. So, but yeah, they were still able. It wasn't a huge difference. Rebounding, it definitely did make a difference, I think, because when they played in Laurinburg, Braylon was bossing them around on those boards. So.
Yeah,
a difference maker.
Going forward, what do you see for both those teams, Lumberton and Scotland?
Well, this was a huge win for Scotland. I mean, I think at this point they're probably going to need to win the conference tournament to make the playoffs. But just momentum-wise, especially going into their rivalry game this week on Friday against Richmond, and then for Lumberton, it's just it's a tough loss. Just the way it happened, a close loss like that at home, but they're going to have to bounce back quickly because they also have their rivalry game on Friday too.
Yeah, you mentioned how Lumberton took forever to score in the girls' game. What did you see from that matchup and how Lumberton was able to come away with the win even though it struggled early?
Yeah, eventually they just kind of figured it out. I think early in the game they were just a little sluggish. Just seemed like they just weren't really awake yet, and then once Rachel O'Neill and Maddie Kennedy kind of started going a little bit, they were able to find a groove. And I've said it many times, but Scotland's a real young team this year, not a whole lot of IQ going on, so it just kind of overwhelmed them at a certain point, and Lumberton was able to pull away.
Yeah, Donnell, Lumberton has a lot of experience on both the men's and the women's side. What do they need to do over these next 2 weeks to really set themselves up for the postseason?
I think it's important, it's vital that both of these teams, first for the girls, that they do get off to better starts. Like Brandon said, I've watched them a few times this year, and they, whether it's momentum or whether it's the game plan, it's probably not the game plan, but whether it's their mentality, I think that's the biggest part. Get off to better starts, not falling behind early. Don't have a lot of makeup that you need to ground to cover later in the game. So the boys, I think it's all about focus. They're talented. Lumberton boys are as talented a group as you can find in the Sandhills. So if they have all of their pieces together, of course, then they're really dangerous. So it's just all about focus for the Lumberton boys.
Yeah, they've beat teams like Pinecrest, so that they're capable of beating the Goliaths, and I consider them a Goliath in the conference as well. So elsewhere in the Sandhills, Purnell Sweat defeated Hoke in overtime for its second win in the last 3 outings. So Brandon, what kind of difference did you notice from Purnell Sweat in the first meeting when they had Xavier Jones and the second one when they didn't have him? They have had Xavier Jones the last 2 games.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the same thing as Braylon. I mean, if it never hurts you to have a big guy in the post fighting for those boards because when they played Scotland, without Duke in there, it was really tough for them to get position in the key, get the boards, get the loose boards, and it really helped Scotland kind of run their brand of basketball because, like I said, they like to kick it out to their guards and have them drive into the post, and there wasn't really anyone in there to stop them without Duke in there. So it was definitely a big difference. It's kind of crazy the difference one guy can make for them, in that area of the game, but it was big.
Yeah, so Donnell, we mentioned it last week or a couple weeks ago, how Zach Carter was being negatively hurt from Xavier Jones not being out there. So he had 20 points last night. Have you seen a big change from him since Xavier came back in the lineup?
So I personally haven't watched him since Xavier's come back, but I know that, being that I watched him a few times when he was there, those two have some kind of connection where Xavier gets the rebound and immediately, even before he gets the rebound, you'll see Zach sprinting up the side of the court, already ready for that transition bucket. So I know his 20 points last night was a direct effect from Xavier coming back.
Yeah, and how does that help out the Rams in the post? I mean, he had 20 rebounds last night, which is, it seems crazy, but it seems like he has a nose for the ball.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He does have a nose for the ball. That's what you miss. That's what you don't have when he's not in the game, when he's not in your lineup. You don't have that guy that's gonna, it's like a magnet. It's a magnetic attraction that he has towards the ball, whether it's offensive or defensive rebounding. He's going to be there. He's grabbing those boards, and he's setting up your fast break, and that's what Purnell needs to be effective.
Yeah, so in the battle for first place in the league last night, 71st held Richmond to stay on top of the league standings and will take on Jack Britt Friday with a chance to secure it. So with Scotland facing the Raiders on Friday, they had just won 8 in a row up until that point. What are you expecting from that matchup, Brandon?
Well, it's going to be, there's a lot of things affecting that matchup. It's senior night for Scotland, so there's a lot riding on that. And, it's a rivalry game. It's kind of like Lumberton and Purnell and, Scotland and Richmond. It means a lot for the people in the community. And, it's kind of wrapping up the season at Scotland's newly renovated gym. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough matchup because, like you said, Richmond's had their fair share of success and Scotland's had their fair share of struggles. But I think, especially after that win against Lumberton and now that Scotland has, a few days to recover from that win, it's going to be a good matchup because Richmond got them good, when they played Scotland at home, but this should be a tougher matchup this time around.
Yeah, so it's rivalry Friday, so we'll go ahead and just do some picks, starting with you, Brandon. You got the Scotland and Richmond game. How do you see that game shaking out?
I see Scotland pulling it out. I think they have the momentum on their side right now, and they've beaten good teams this year, so they can do it.
Yeah, so we'll see if after winning 8 straight, if Richmond will drop 2 straight to close out the season. So Lumberton at Purnell. What, Donnell, who do you think takes that game?
I think with Xavier back, I think that's going to be a game where it's a rubber match, so they're 1-1 right now, so I think Purnell's going to pull that one out at home.
Yeah, that's what everybody's trying to build us up as. Xavier Jones, started his suspension the night that they played at Lumberton, so we haven't seen that matchup or the repeat of the Robeson County shootout since then. And that's what everybody's wanting to see, and I think it should be a good matchup. And it depends on whether Braylon Grice is back for Lumberton, who's currently serving a suspension. He was out last night. If he's not back, it could spell disaster for the Pirates, but you never know from there. So we'll see. It should be an interesting matchup. So both Donnell and myself were in the Three Rivers Conference last night. South Robinson earned a come-from-behind win over East Bladen to stay in a tie for 5th in the league with Whiteville. So East Bladen win coming against South Robinson earlier in the year and then played them tight on Tuesday. What's it about that matchup for the Eagles and the Mustangs?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, the East Bladen team, they didn't win. They lost 9 straight ahead of that matchup. The last time they won was coincidentally against the Mustangs, against South Robinson. So it's weird. Sometimes teams just have your number. And it looked like for the first part last night, at South and at Roland, at South Robinson, it looked like South Robinson was doing well, and then they kind of got into a back and forth with them. And in the third quarter, East Bladen just took off on them. They hit like 5 threes, and then Of course, in that last quarter, we saw Cam. He had a big game. Cam Morrell, it was his senior night. He scored 1,000 points for that in his career for that school. So he was rewarded for that, and he came through for him, pulled it out.
Yeah, what did you see from him? Obviously, you mentioned in your story from last night there was a lot of emotions going on. How was he able to ride through the emotions and still put up a solid game?
Yeah, he told me afterwards, I spoke with him afterwards, he told me that, that was just something he did not want to have that mark on his career, just losing his last game, his senior night. So, after the game, he's on the floor, down on his knees. You could see the tears in his eyes. It meant so much to him that he could pull that out for them. And not just him, Daniel Murray, Kyler Page, those are seniors. They have a lot of pride. You could see them going after it in the last 2-3 minutes of that game, and they just wanted it more.
Yeah, so in the girls' game, East Bladen, who's undefeated in conference play, has just really rolled through everybody, did much of the same last night. So what is it about that East Bladen team? You talked to Jatera Moore Peterson last week, and she really seems like a good get for the Braves here at UNCP.
Yeah, and, that's the funny thing. Like, she just blends in, really. She doesn't even try to stand out with that team. That's how talented they are. So last night she had 10 points. She does not need to go out and get 20, 30 points for them to be effective. They have a great coach, won over 500 games for that program, and they also have a good system. They play defense. They're well-rounded. A lot of girls can go out and get 15, 20 points. It's just really tough to defend. Tough to match up with.
Yeah. So while you were in Roland, I was in Red Springs, where the regular season conference champions in West Columbus took care of business after trailing for the first 3 quarters against the Red Devils. So Donnell, Red Springs youth showed last night, but how does this team look going forward with a lot of guys that are going to be back next year?
I think going forward is where they're really going to take off this year. Obviously, up and down inconsistency. You're going to see that with young guys. But going forward, they're set up. They have some bigs that, they can rebound, and they're kind of tough. Once they get their offensive game together, they're going to be, something to deal with. And they don't have their senior guards coming back, but, if they can find a couple of guards in the backcourt to complement those bigs, should be pretty cool, good setup there for Red Springs.
Yeah. In the girls' game, Red Springs held West Columbus scoreless for the first 12 minutes of the game before securing the blowout win. So could the Lady Red Devils, with Taylon Atkinson, Jalexis Bratcher, a lot of seniors, could they make a tournament run and maybe set themselves up for the postseason? Because right now they're on the outside looking in.
Yeah, they will need to make a tournament run. It is imperative that they make that tournament run to make the playoffs. So I think Atkinson, she's that type of player that can, try to will that team. But we'll see. I don't know if she can. That's going to be a tough ask. That's a pretty good conference there, like we said, especially with East Bladen, and you got Whiteville at the top there. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so St. Paul's currently is in a tie for second in the boys' standings and the girls' standings after last night's sweep of Whiteville. The girls earned a 2-point overtime win while the boys won in blowout fashion. So, Donnell, have these teams exceeded their expectations for this season?
I would say, me personally, I haven't seen them, play in 2 or 3 years like you have, but I would say going into it and seeing how they played in the beginning, yes. I think they both exceed expectations. But it's that resiliency, that they have, and that will to never give up. I think that's what's playing the most important part this year. Yeah,
one of the county Player of the Year candidates, T.J. Eichelberger, dropped 33 points last night. So you've sort of been high and low on her. Where's your position on her right now as far as the Player of the Year standings?
Yeah, never been low on her. I don't want to take it
like
there. But I've said that, especially because I watched her in that Lumberton game go head to head with other Player of the Year candidate. I always said that she was trailing, and now I think she's in the lead. That's a pretty impressive 2-week stretch that she's had the last couple of weeks. Last night going over 30, another double-double. That's really impressive. So we'll have to see with this tournament in the next couple of weeks to see if she can finish it out. Yeah, another balanced effort from the boys. Do you think they have a chance to challenge West Columbus next week? They absolutely have a chance to challenge West Columbus. It's all about what team you get with them. Usually they come and they have great effort with their pressure defense. You never know what you're going to get in offense with them. That's the problem. So if they can get a couple of outside shots, A couple looks inside with their bigs, they can beat anybody in that conference.
Yeah, so Fairmont's boys kept rolling and now are winners of 5 straight games and are 4th in the league standings after being at the bottom for much of the season up until probably last month. So Donnell, is Fairmont a title contender now in this stretch where they've won 5 games and they've got 10 conference wins?
Yeah, Fairmont is a really intriguing team to me right now because of their name that we know in this conference. They've won 8 straight conference titles, and everybody going into this season, I talked with Coach Montrell McNair, and he was telling me how everybody is always trying to beat them, and everybody's goal is to beat Fairmont. And now they've been doing it this year, and here we go. Fairmont's won 6 straight games, so they're going to be in there. They're going to be trying to get to the playoffs, and they're going to try to win that whole tournament, and they have the home court advantage, so they're definitely going to be intriguing.
Yep, so two in-county matchups in the Three Rivers Conference on Friday with Red Springs at St. Paul's. Donnell, who wins that game?
Ooh, nice little rivalry game. I'm going to have to go with St. Paul's to go ahead and get that sweep. It's their home, and, I don't think they want to go out like that on senior night.
Yeah. Brandon, what about you for South Robeson at Fairmont?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'll probably have to go. I'm going to go with the Fairmont boys for that one, and probably South Rob girls.
Yeah, the South Robeson girls. Now back to full strength. Fairmont's girls still looking for their first win, so that'll be their final chance to get in the regular season. So now that we've done Friday's picks, we'll go ahead and look to next week. We got the conference tournament championship. Let's do some picks in the girls of the Sandhills.
The Sandhills girls. Well, I recently watched Pinecrest blow out Scotland. That's probably the best performance I've seen, so I'm going to have to go with them.
Okay, Donnell, what about you?
Sandhills girls, I would have to say, I want to pick Lumberton. I do, but I don't think they're going to have enough. So I think, Pinecrest. They have the most well-rounded team. I have to pick Pinecrest.
Yeah, just to bring it up, last year Pinecrest was the team to beat in the conference and throughout the whole regular season, and Lumberton goes up there. Granted, they had Linda Thompson, who was one of the best players in the county, and was able to come away with that win. So you never know. It's what February, I guess, is the March of high school sports technically. So never know what could happen. What about on the Sandhills boys, Donnell?
Sandhills boys, got to go 71st. They look like they're hitting that groove. They beat the hottest team in the conference just now in Richmond. Just seeing them one time against Lumberton, they have everything you need to make a deep run, even in the playoffs. So I know they can win that conference.
What about you, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with 71st, too. It was really between them and Pinecrest, but I think teams are kind of starting to zero in on Pinecrest and how they run their offense a little bit. So I think 71st is going to go away with it.
Yeah, so anybody outside of those two teams that y'all mentioned that have a chance to really threaten them, you feel like?
Well, I think, in this conference, we all know that everyone's going to threaten at some point. I mean, we've seen some close games between, some top teams and some bottom-tier teams. So, this is going to be a pretty exciting tournament to watch, definitely.
Yeah, could y'all see somebody coming out of the woodwork like a Scotland who's sitting in a tie for 5th right now? Donnell, do you think that's possible for a team like Scotland to come out of the woodwork and make a run?
I think a team that you would need to watch, you're talking about boys now, right? Yeah, the boys, I think a team you need to watch is, I don't know if I'm going to say Scotland, but, those Purnell Rams, man, you get Xavier back in there, they look totally different. They're beating anybody you put in front of them. So, if there was a chance to ever get in the playoffs, if they have one, win that whole conference, I think you got to watch out for them.
Yeah, so real quickly, Donnell, Three Rivers girls, who takes it?
You can't go against East Bladen. They're just too talented. They haven't lost all year in that conference. You got to go get East Bladen.
Yeah, what about you?
I'm going to go St. Paul's just to be against Donnell.
Okay, and so what about the boys real quickly?
I'm taking Fairmont.
Fairmont boys, okay.
Taking Fairmont.
What about you?
St. Paul's all the way.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. So once again, we'd like to thank the crew here at WNCP TV for the work behind the scenes on the show. For Brandon Tester and Donnell Coley, I'm Jonathan Bim. Thanks for tuning in for Inside Athletics.